Hey everyone, starting is often the most difficult part of getting things done, so today I'm sharing 4 ideas for getting started on tasks. And these tips come from the book Feel Good Productivity, and the author, Ali Abdaal, is a medical doctor turned entrepreneur who is currently the world's most followed productivity expert, and he is running a business that is generating millions of dollars in profit every year. So today I wanted to build off some of the tips from this book and discuss how you can use your planner to put these tips into action. The first 2 tips revolve around this idea of minimizing the barriers to starting. Tip 1 is to reduce environmental friction. To reduce environmental friction, you want to eliminate the resistance of your physical surroundings or situation by preparing an optimal environment ahead of time. This includes reducing the amount of energy or the amount of time that it takes to set something up or to begin your task. As an example, if you are trying to start the habit of planning, a great way to reduce environmental friction is to have your planner open to the current week and have it in a location that you spend a lot of time around. So maybe that's your kitchen counter or a table that's in a central location in your home so that your planner is really easy to get to and you can reference it throughout the day. If you're trying to keep your house clean, one way to reduce environmental friction is to give every item in your house a home. I have an insert in my planner that lists out what kitchen cabinet each item is stored in. The same thing would work if you had a diagram of your closet and you listed out what you're storing in each of the boxes in your planner as kind of like an inventory. And then another idea is to use labeled containers like these I got from IKEA. I have them all around my house, and it just makes it so much easier when you have the labels on the boxes so you know what goes where. If you are trying to start the habit of exercising every morning, one way you could do that is use your planner to plan out what your workouts are going to be ahead of time so there's no guessing. You can set out your workout clothes and maybe like your gym bag or whatever else it is you're going to need for that workout the night before so that you're ready to go in the morning. If you are trying to eat healthier, this could mean throwing out junk food in your pantry cupboard, so you're kind of eliminating temptations from your environment. In addition to pre-cutting veggies so that you have convenient snacks at hand, you can use your planner to plan out your meals for the week and your shopping trips so that you can meal prep ahead of time and have your healthy lunches and healthy dinners ready to go and just make it as easy as possible on yourself. The second tip is to reduce emotional friction. In the book, he says that emotional friction can hinder getting started. Here he refers to ambiguity about what we're doing, anxiety about what a task entails, as well as a lack of motivation to start. I personally believe that routines are a great way of overcoming this ambiguity about what we're doing, because you decide on what tasks you're going to be doing ahead of time, and all you have to do is just reference your routine and you automatically know what to work on. It takes any sort of ambiguity out of the picture. I have added my morning routine, evening routine, and weekly reset routines to my planner, so I have no questions about what needs to get done every work day and also every day of the weekend. I also have an insert in my planner that shows me what an ideal week would look like. It's all time blocked out, and all I have to do is just reference that to know what to work on next. And that includes when I'm working at the hospital, when I'm working on the Etsy shop, when I'm editing or filming YouTube videos, cleaning the house, etc. It's all planned out for me ahead of time. And obviously, it's just an ideal week. Nothing is ever perfect, so it's not necessarily going to be followed down to the minute every single week, but it's just a general guideline and it helps me to guide me through my week as a framework. I have 2 more videos that go into detail on how my routines work in my planner, how it's all set up, and I'll link those 2 videos down below for you if you want to check those out. To overcome emotional friction, Ali Abdaal recommends using what he calls the 5-minute rule. And basically you just set your timer to 5 minutes and you begin working on the tasks that you want to get done. And once your timer goes off, if you don't want to continue working, you have to allow yourself to stop working. But most likely, or at least what he says most likely will happen, is you will want to continue working. He says 80% of the time he'll just continue working because the hardest thing is just getting started. And even if you stop working, at least you got 5 minutes done, and 5 minutes of progress is still better than no progress. So the idea of that is you're making it a little bit less overwhelming by saying that you only have to work on it for 5 minutes. When we are tired or don't have a lot of time, we will often choose the default option or whatever is easiest for us in that moment. So it's really important to have things that will, make the right choice or the good choice easier to choose by reducing environmental friction or reducing emotional friction. Another tip from the book is to find an accountability buddy. So whether that's a friend, a parent, a spouse, or someone else, the idea is that you have someone who will check in on you maybe once or twice a week and just making sure that you are staying on track and you're following through on what you said you were going to do. And the reasoning behind this tip is that he thinks that you will become motivated by your desire to not let that person down. For this to work, however, you need to make sure that the person who you are choosing to be your accountability buddy is not going to enable you to just give up. Ali Abdaal says that that person needs to be disciplined, challenging, patient, supportive, and constructive. A 2018 study with 704 participants found that the participants who had accountability buddies were more likely to both lose weight and lose inches in their waist compared to those who did not have. And they also found that the more the accountability buddies were both supportive and challenging, the more weight was lost by the participants. Using a planner to schedule in those check-ins with your accountability buddy is, a great way to make sure that those check-ins are happening regularly. The 4th tip is to forgive yourself. Sometimes we have a hard time getting started because we're paralyzed by feelings of guilt, feelings of fear of maybe being incapable to complete the task, or just a disappointment in ourselves associated with what we perceive to be past failures. And sometimes forgiveness can help us to move past those feelings. Essentially, forgiveness involves releasing negative emotions, thoughts and emotions that are associated with something that we interpret to be wrong or a mistake. In the book, Ali Abdaal mentions a study which involved 312 first-year university students, and before 2 midterms, the participants were asked to answer a series of questions that involved whether or not they had procrastinated for each exam and to rank how likely they were to dislike, criticize, or put themselves down for procrastinating. The authors found an association between self-forgiveness and how well the students performed on the second midterm for those students who had procrastinated on the first midterm. So they found that the procrastinators who were able to forgive themselves for procrastinating to study on that first midterm ended up not procrastinating to study for the second midterm. And those who did not forgive themselves for procrastinating on the first midterm ended up procrastinating again to study for the second midterm. Based on these results, the authors postulated that by forgiving themselves, individuals are able to reduce the burden of past actions. which prevents procrastination. Meaning, forgiving yourself might actually encourage you to take action on what needs to get done. This makes sense to me because think of all of the time and energy when we're being hard on ourselves for making a mistake or doing something wrong that we put into being critical of ourselves or being hard on ourselves. So just imagine if you can just put that time and energy into doing something productive, how much better we would be off. The next time you make a mistake or things don't go as well as planned, give yourself permission to not be critical of yourself, because maybe you will be able to get more done as a result. And this is, of course, easier said than done. I realize how difficult this can be. So if you struggle with being too hard on yourself, or if you are being held back by fear of failure, what I have found to be helpful is completing workbook exercises like those found in the Growth Mindset Workbook by Dr. Elaine Elliott Moskwa. And I have a whole video that goes into what that book is about and how to use it with a planner that I'll link down below for you. A central theme to all of these tips is that they involve anticipating the challenges that you will encounter, whether that be lack of motivation, environmental friction, emotional friction, etc. And when we anticipate these challenges, that allows us to then brainstorm simple ways to overcome those obstacles ahead of time before they happen. If you want to see more ideas about getting things done, check out this video next, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.